Welcome to the Sports Car Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome, and thanks for being here. Happy Labor Day weekend. Woo! All right, day off for used to be a day off for everybody. Now it's, just a day off for some of us because the retail stores and everything are actually stay open. Car dealership, no matter what, you can go shop anywhere, right? But happy Labor Day weekend, right? As with all Monday holidays, I will be trying to scoop up some Sunday night holiday weekend deals. um, I've talked about this a bunch of times. I first, I had to go back because I was thinking about it. I had to go back to see when I first started talking about this. It was season 1, episode 17. Uh, and I think it's become somewhat of a sports card lessons podcast tradition now. Since then, with these Monday holidays, getting great deals on Sunday night on some of these auction sites. And I'm always getting messages from listeners on Friday, Saturday, simply just saying Monday holiday. And then I may or may not get some, some shares of some deals they picked up on Sunday night. Um, and I appreciate that. And I do it myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And again, I'm dropping this episode early. So sometimes I remember to say it, sometimes I don't. If you listening to this, I'm recording this on Sunday, and I'm dropping this early on Sunday because I have some final fantasy drafts I have to get through this afternoon and this evening. So I wanted to get this out of the way early. So if you tune in early enough, it's a reminder to go try to find some steals tonight on the Sunday night auctions. So holiday weekend, lots going on, but Saturday, I did find time to go to the Enfield, Connecticut show. My guy Alex on IG at Ideal Cards, that's his show up there. It's always busy. Since I started going to this show, 2 year. Well, in fact, if you remember, this is the very first show I set up at over 2 years ago. And it was always just one floor. And since then, they've added a whole second floor downstairs with tables. So now the show is expanded. I'm not going to say it's double in size, but it's probably they've added 50% more tables up there. So it's a 45-minute drive for me, but definitely worth the drive. And even on a holiday weekend, when I pulled in and I saw the cars, I was like, oh my God, this place is packed. So yeah, it's definitely a lot going on up there, and it's a great show for buying and selling. I went in there with the mentality of doing both, right? I've got stuff that I'm selling. I've got stuff that I'm looking to buy. I was able to move a couple football cards, which I was happy about. Um, and it's funny, when you go to walk a show for someone like me who's been on the other side of the table for so long. I forget what side of the table I'm on. Um, I was negotiating a deal. I moved the Patrick Mahomes, the 2017 2 p.m., the AKA 2 p.m. card, the PSA 10, and we were down to like $15 apart on the card. Um, and in my mind, I'm like, why should I give up that extra $15? Kind of like the way I would be, selling at if I was a dealer selling at a show. Um, when I seem to come down a decent amount, but the buyer hasn't seemed to come up very much. And then I started thinking, hey, wait a minute, I didn't pay for this table. I'm just here walking around, right? Um, so I knew we were close. We weren't moving. We were that close, but we weren't moving forward. So I ended up selling to him. I said, "Hey, look, I'll come down $10 if you come up 5." And the deal was done. Right? It was easy as that. I mean, and when you put it that way too, at $15 a part, you would think, how is this even happening? But, for some people, um, if you give up that $15 too quickly, then they want 15 more or 20 more. So it's, you need to, from a negotiation standpoint, you need to, feel, at least feel anyways, if you want to get a good deal done, you need to, it has to feel like we're both giving a little bit to get this deal done. So at $15, I'm willing to give up, the $10 for them to come up five. And I was happy. Deal was done. I was happy to move that card. Crazy thing about that card is I bought that card for $100 under comps back in June, early July. I'm sorry, early July before the National. Um, and it was one of those cards I bought. I said, I'm adding it to the national inventory. I'm bringing it out there. It's a great card. I'm going to sell it, and I'll sell it at whatever the comp is because I just got it at a great price. But when I made the offer, the seller immediately accepted. This is where I was starting my negotiation, $100 under comps on this particular card. And he accepted. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Let me go back and just look at these comps again to make sure I wasn't missing anything, that, I wasn't overlooking anything, because it's just strange when somebody agrees right when you hit a low ball offer and someone agrees right away. So you have to think, am I making a mistake here? Is there something wrong or something I'm overlooking? So I went back, checked all my numbers. Nope. Looks like a great deal. I made the deal, and he even said, you're getting a really good deal. And I felt I was getting a great deal. Put it in my case for the National. Um, Nobody looked at that card. There was zero interest in that card. And it was a card that I was selling so many cards, and I kept moving that card in the case and centering it in the case and putting it long ways and putting it here and putting it there and putting it next to really great cards. No one was ever interested. No one ever made an offer on that card. And I said, wow, that's just strange. Come home, go to East Coast National, same thing. Moving that card, and all the cards around that are selling, but that card just wasn't selling, and nobody was even making offers on it. There was zero interest in this card. A couple, some kids that were trying to trade up a bunch of smaller cards for it, that type of thing, but really, really no interest in that card. Until here I am at Enfield 2 months later, right? Dealer's looking in my box, pulls this card out, says, I love this card. And I'm thinking in my mind, that's awesome. I'm going to move that card today. I had so much room on that card that it really almost didn't matter what I was going to sell it for, because I knew it was going to be positive, because I just knew, you know, and do I say it like this? No one was going to be like me and come in and offer $100 under comps. Um, but pretty close. Pretty close. We had to negotiate up on that, but I ended up selling the card for, $55 under comps. Now to this dealer, and I'm sure this dealer is thinking the same thing, as now I've got, here's $55. And if this comp can go up, I could make more on this card, right? Um, every dealer comes across these great cards that just become dead inventory weight with no rhyme or reason. Um, I've been unlucky to have a few of these cards, and I'm um, starting to understand that certain cards, um, that you're able to get a good deal on, there's really a reason why. And a couple of these cards and I've been talking about this here on the podcast, a couple of these cards that I bought into, dealers were happy for whatever reason. Some of it, there were no comps on it, so it was so hard to move a card with no comps, things like that. But I'm starting to identify certain things about cards, that these are just really great cards, but you just can't sell them. It's like there's zero interest in these cards. And I've talked to other people about cards like this, and they said the best they could do is just try to hide them in a trade deal. And sometimes they just give up on them if they're working a deal and they're so close and they really want to get this deal done. Sometimes they'll grab that card and say, "Hey, look, I can throw this card in on top of it," or something like that, just to kind of finish the deal, kind of seal the deal, like that type of thing. And that's all. It's all these cards seem to become, that's what their worth in the hobby is to try to get deals done, or just being sold under comps to, I'm not going to say other unsuspecting people, because you know I'll give you a for instance. I do a lot with soccer cards, and I go to the National, right? And I'm selling tons and tons of this women's soccer card. I mean, people were crowded around buying these cards, right? I come back, I go to do other shows, and nobody's buying, nobody's even looking at the cards, just barely looking at the cards, So it really, something like that, it depends on, where I am set up, and what I have in my case as to what's going to sell well, right? They're in Connecticut. I mean, in New York they have a professional women's soccer team there, right? But maybe not a lot of players that are coming to see that. So putting certain things in my case just may not sell, because the people that are coming to the show just aren't interested in those type of cards. But if they were somewhere else or had different eyes on them, it may be a very popular card. So in a card like that 2 p.m., if I hadn't moved it by September 9th show, the last show, I would have put that on eBay. But it was just a card that I felt I was just giving too much away, too much of the profit away on eBay, and I don't even know if it would have sold, if you know what it would have sold for on eBay, had I had put it up there. So I was happy to sell a card like this. And there are other cards that this dealer might get this card, and he already might have a buyer for it. He may put it somewhere else and get the complete, sell it over comps. And I hope he does. I hope that works out his way. But for me, and where I am and what I'm doing with the card, it just wasn't working out. Nobody was interested in that card. Uh, and I say to myself, and I've had a couple of these cards, I say, are these cards cursed, or have they just lost their shine? Um, and we all have them as dealers. We all come across these cards, and we say, "Man, when I bought this card, I really thought this was going to be a fast sale. I really thought it was going to be a very popular card, and it ends up being not even close, not even close to a card that was worth, that had any worth in the case at all." And that cut, I mean, the pop count on that 2 p.m. card was 446. And compared to a lot of the Mahomes rookie cards, PSA 10s, that's probably a little bit lower. I mean, I know it's still not a low number, but there are a lot of his, rookie 2017 rookie PSA 10s that have huge thousands and thousands of pop counts on them. So, um, and I know people are screaming at the radio right now, however you're listening, and saying there's just too many card variations. That's really what it's coming down to on a lot of these cards. It's like, you want to buy a Mahomes card, which is the best card to buy? Is that the best card to buy? Maybe not, even though it's a PSA 10 and it's a great looking, more of an insert card, right? But instead of putting your 400 or your $450 into that card, maybe you want to go into, a rated rookie card or something like that. And I completely understand that too, that there's just so many variations now of the cards out there. It's, you need to figure out, for me as a dealer, which ones are selling, which ones that people really want, and try to kind of stick to those. Um, I mean, I have another card like that as well, as a great card of a top quarterback. Um, and I've had it for a year, but why haven't I sold it? Because it's probably not as good as his other 1,000 or 1,500 RPA variations or whatever they said. I mean, even like a Trevor Lawrence, right? Somebody said there were 10,000 variations of RPAs or something like that. This is a Josh Allen from 2018. So I don't know how many RPA variations, but it just wasn't the best RPA variation. It's not the one everybody's looking for, and people are a little down on Josh Allen right now too. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more aggressive about moving that card too, and over my next couple of shows, and just see what I can do with that. Just moving out of football now, why the prices are good. I know that they're going to, start to decline, and like anything else, you want to get the most bang for your buck, right? You want to get the most you can. I still have the Burrow XRC auto number to 49, the PSA 910 auto, and I talked about this being an awesome card, but having trouble moving this card because of lack of comps. I had this card at the National. I had this card at East Coast National. Very, very popular card. Um, but the downfall on this card was the last comp was a year and a half ago for about, it's like $2,080 or something. We'll call it $2,100. And people just assume that's the comp of that card, right? So all the offers coming in at 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 1,800, 1,900, 2,000. And I just felt the card was worth so much more than that. And at that price, I would rather just hold that card and keep that card because I just think it's a great card. But a couple weeks ago, the same exact card in a BGS 9510 auto sold for $3,250 on eBay. So what that's done for me is just stop the super low offers. So no matter, and I'll just give you for instance, this weekend showing up at the Enfield Show, when people are looking and they kept pulling that card out every time they pull it out on my case. Said, "Oh, love this card. Put it aside," right? Um, and as soon as someone says, and they give you that little head shake and that kind of little painful look, said, the last comp on that, it's like $2,000, and I'm like, yeah, that was like a year and a half ago. I said, and before they could get that $2,000 offer out, I'd say just go back and look again. There's a BGS 9510 that just sold a couple weeks ago, $3,250, and I even had it queued up on my phone after the first person looked at it. That changes everything. That literally changes and I could see the facial changes, everything, where they're saying to themselves, man, if I can get into this card for $2,000, that would be a home run. Maybe I can convince them, maybe because Burrow, is injured or whatever it is. But it changes everything. Everything in their face changes because now they know, now there's a 3,250 comp, and now this card is about a $2,800 card, right? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I couldn't be any more happier about a recent sale / current comp with this card, because you've heard me talking about this card over a number of episodes where it's been the focal point of me setting up at shows and even now walking a show, but the card doesn't get sold because there was no comps on it, and everybody's, well, there's no comps, I got to take a chance, and all this other stuff. And people say to me, I don't know. They say, hey, especially the dealers, they're like, wow, people are going to look at this. They're going to offer me 2,000. So 1,800 makes sense. I'm like, okay. I've used that line before a time or two, but appreciate you looking, that type of thing. And I know Burrow had a preseason calf injury, but I mean, I think he's just primed for a great season. And I'm only prepared to sell the card at the right price. I mean, that's why I still own the card, right? Because I'm prepared to sell it. I certainly had decent offers at, I shouldn't say decent offers, some offers, but not close to where I feel the price was on this card that I would be ready to sell. And it's okay if I don't sell this card. It's okay because this card's not one of those dead inventory cards. This is a card that's a great card. People love this card. And I'm in no rush. I'll sell it. I'll hold on to it. I think the value of that card will stay, pretty close to where it is. It could even go up. Who knows what this season has to bring, how well he plays moving forward. And I always say, no rush on the display case eye candy, right? So you put a card in there, it stops people, and that's probably one of the most important things, right? To people when you're at a show is to get people to stop and look into your case, whatever you put in that case. And I learned that, so early on, when I first started setting up with a Rob sports card therapist, that he would have the 86 all-star wrestling cards in there in his case. And man, would the people just stop and, stop dead in their tracks and come back and look in. And I always said to myself, moving forward as a dealer, no matter what I'm selling in my case, I need to have something in there that stops people. And I've gone through periods where I have nothing in my case that stops people. And then I've gone through, probably over the last 2 years that I have at least, or a year and a half, at least 1 or 2 cards in there that will stop people and say, wow, that's a great card, and turn back and, want to talk about a card or check a price or something like that. So as a dealer, that's so important to get people to stop and look in your case. Thanks. A shout out to my guy Sean on IG at Sabres Hockey 22. He gave me a great deal on Kirill Kaprizov Young Guns PSA 10. I have that card here. I'll just hold that up. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. If not, it is a PSA 10. Made a deal with him. We tend to get deals done, just on certain cards, and he always gives me a great deal. Always see him at Enfield and at Plainville, so I appreciate the deal. I've been busy during the week. Last 2 weeks, I've been picking up hockey. I've been picking up Young Guns PSA 10s. I picked up 2 of these Cole Caulfield, and I am holding that up to Cole Caulfield PSA 10 Young Guns. I picked up another one of these Jack Hughes Young Guns PSA 10. So if you're keeping count, that's 4 Jack Hughes Young Guns PSA 10. And I don't mind having 4 of those. And it's not that I went looking for them; they just kind of ended up coming to me. Uh, but I don't mind. If it was any other player, I'd be probably been like, I already have a couple of those. I don't need any more. But this particular player, me knowing that, I do the Laz shows in New Jersey, and now he's going to be having a once a month show this second Saturday of every month. He's going to be having a show there, and I'll be there. And, I don't think I'm going to have any trouble moving, New Jersey Devil cards, especially Jack Hughes. So I am pretty pumped to have 4 of those, and I probably have from East Coast National, the lot I picked up there, I probably have eight or 9 cards of him now. All just great cards that I'm sure they're all going to move nicely in New Jersey. So that's it. That's all I have. Short episode this week. I will be back Thursday with a brand new episode. I think it might be a collaboration with Sports Card Therapist, but we will find out. And good luck for those of you who will be trying to scoop up some holiday weekend Sunday night deals. I will be right there with you while I am fantasy drafting on one computer. I'm going to be scoping out the auction houses on the other side. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.